Music and motorcycles. If ever there was a rock and roll combination for the ages, that has to be it. We were heading to Nashville, Tennessee, the city Caitlin and I met. It's where I got my first Triumph, where we started this silly YouTube channel, and it's where our dream of traveling on motorcycles began. We'd be talking to some musical creatives about motorcycles.
Guitars and motorcycles are a lot alike because you're attracted to how they look first, most people.
And we'd be getting Caitlin her first Nashville hot chicken.
I've never been to Hattie B's, and I lived there for like 8 years. Almost hot.
But first, we had to get there, and we were still in eastern Kentucky. But after another great time at the Red River Scramble, we were on our way west again.
Well, I left Chattanooga, boy, had $1 and a dime. Headed out for Nashville on the Hard Rock Line. I'm working on that old steamboat and learned to ride and steam. When my feet had touched dry land, how happy I did feel.
Look, my mud splatter has bug splatter.
I have so much bug splatter. One looks like a big old loogie thrown onto my visor. And it's like right there. That's the one I'm talking about. I'd rather clean it now and have at least a little bit more clean, especially as it's getting darker. But no, I don't see too good at that the night time.
Clean now?
Cleaner. That's as good as that's getting. I think these work all right, but it needs some hardcore duty cleaner stuff.
It looks a lot better though.
It does. I got the big stuff off.
Could be my radiator is kind of clogged. Doesn't look that bad though.
I can't tell. I need a light.
Yeah, it's probably a mixture of things.
We're gonna keep going to the pharmacy, and I'll just take it easy. I'll just give the bike a rest, so if anything, I have an air-cooled bike right now.
Well, come this time tomorrow, reckon I don't know where I'll be. But if it wasn't for that old sheriff, I'd be back in Tennessee. Playing cards and crap games, not looking for the score. And if I ever get back home again, I'll never own no more.
The pharmacy. The pharmacy.
Burger and a milkshake. I'm a simple guy.
Afterwards, we rode through the dark countryside to where we would be staying, and I ran into my nemesis again.
God damn it.
Gravel.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm shitting myself right now. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. I kind of couldn't. I was literally on the downward slope. Oh, Jesus.
I ended up taking her bike the rest of the way, but don't pick on her. A lot of you be shitting your pants too. This is what it actually looks like during the day. Nashville is known as Music City, and motorcycles and music have been in a relationship for years. From album covers to music videos, motorcycles and music culture are entangled together. Motorhead, Queen, Prince, the list goes on. It's not just the rock and roll. Lady Gaga and even James Blunt has put motorcycles into a music video. Of course, my favorite music video of all time even put a motorcycle in there. Little Hurricane's Sheep in Wolves Clothes. Motorcycles even inspire lyrics.
You hear me coming from miles away, screaming banshees haunting my motorbike.
Many musicians also ride. Lenny Kravitz, Tina Turner, Neil Peart, and Dave Grohl are just a few who have ridden motorcycles.
On the fucking 101 with no helmet and rush hour, just like, I'm gonna fucking die.
People who tend to be in music also kind of tend to have a little bit of a fuck it and fuck you attitude, right? Which lends itself to motorcycle riding, you know? They're definitely a crowd that likes to to push things.
Just like playing a show, there's an adrenaline rush from it.
Billy Joel even has a motorcycle shop.
Well, I like when the brakes work. That's a good thing.
There's a certain youth to it. I think it's probably that's being alive. It makes you feel alive when you're riding.
I teach my kids about bikes. It's like the reason I like bikes is there's so many different kinds. Cars, in my opinion, are getting more homogenous.
Sounds wicked though. Yeah, it sounds like a tractor, man. And I love the tank color.
The best part about following someone on your motorcycle is you get to hear your exhaust from a different perspective.
Sweet. This is a really comfortable bike.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you get used to the tallness. Yeah. You just 1 foot it, you know, and then it gets nice because then you're putting, like, your legs are fully extended all the time. But this is cool. This has that vintage bike feel.
Yeah.
But the brakes work better than I expected.
Yeah, it's got really good front brakes.
Much like this recording equipment, this console has been obsoleted 1,000 times, but it's used here every day, and people revere it because it sounds great. It does a thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't do everything, it does this thing. And that's what bikes do. There's an easier way to do everything, you know, in music, and we still use old guitars and old amps and old mics. And we get on motorcycles and camp, and it's like, there's an easier way. There's beds with air conditioning and cars with windows, and let's do it this way.
One of the things that sparks creativity the most is putting yourself in a situation where you're getting random input, right? Where you're getting chaotic input and not ordered input. And one of the easiest ways to get that is to get out of your normal environment, right? So when you're on a motorcycle, it's always new, everything's new. You're always watching for what's around you and what's behind you, but you're experiencing the road and the country that you're in, like, in the moment. So I think that allows creative people to kind of recharge so they can be more creative, because it's really hard to be creative, you know, sitting in the same place all the time, doing the same places all the time. So I think that's what draws a lot of creative people, because it kind of keeps that inspiration going.
You know what we're gonna do now, right? Try to survive riding a motorcycle around Nashville.
I think it's best to ride around it and not through it.
Tennessee riding, countryside riding, brilliant. Davidson County, a lot of people who either don't pay attention or think you shouldn't be on the road in the first place, it seems.
This is the only place I've ever lived that has so many billboard signs that talk about motorcycle accidents and call us, we're lawyers. I've never seen that anywhere I've ever been, and they're everywhere around here.
I almost got clipped like twice in one day, and I'm like, okay. So now when I do ride around town, I ride a lot more aggressively.
There's a ton more people here than there was even a couple of years ago. The traffic's gotten bad and people aren't paying attention, right? You know, I've gotten almost run off the road twice by people who were on cell phones and weren't negotiating turns.
You can't rely on tourists or Uber drivers who just moved here to be, you know, predictable in their movements. So I'm going to cut that lane, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get out in front of people. You know what I mean? Yeah. I look, even in a car, I look both ways at one-way streets. I wait. When the light's green, I wait.
Around here, there's great places to ride. But in the city itself, I think you have to really be, you have to be on top of it.
My favorite thing to do is we'll get up early on like a Saturday or a Sunday and, you know, slab out to where the country roads start. And we'll go all these amazing back roads, and you take a ferry across a river. It's 50 cents to go on the ferry to Kentucky, and, you know, just kind of like cruise all over the place.
I'll ride to the studio and then maybe ride to lunch with somebody, because we're really close to like River Road, which goes to Ashton City, which is a nice little road right by the river, so it's cooler if it's summer. There's a little spot up there with a deck and have some fish and come back.
The countryside roads in Tennessee are totally where it's at.
Natchez Trace is a 440-mile parkway that connects Natchez, Mississippi to Nashville, Tennessee.
It's well maintained. You're not going to get into a corner and there's going to be a pothole or anything.
It's generally light on the traffic, but heavy on the views. The sweeping turns can be a lot of fun. So much so that maybe you leave your wife behind.
I'll catch up eventually. The boys left me behind, which is what I kind of figured. I didn't want to hold them back, so I told them to not wait for me or anything. And also, I want to be able to look around a little bit. I was told to be on the watch for bicyclists and turkeys.
We made sure to get some Nashville barbecue at Martin's before we left, but also to go to Hattie B's. They're not the originator of hot chicken in Nashville, but they certainly help make it popular.
Caitlin's first time eating Hattie B's.
So we got all mild. Then we have medium, hot, extreme hot,
Damn hot.
damn hot, damn hot.
And damn hot's not even the hottest one. What was the hot one? Shut the cluck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the cluck up. And I was like, shut the cluck up, I'm not even have that one.
If an implied curse word is part of your name, that's a hard no for me.
Is it hot?
Yeah, this is hot. This is hot for me. Yeah, this is hot.
It's like it's not much of a difference in the mild.
No, it's a back end heat. It's like coming up from the pits. Also knows my stomach right now is like, yeah, that one's hot.
Will I regret it tomorrow on the way to Memphis? That is the question. Like flaming shits will power my motorcycle to Memphis tomorrow.
Moving on to Memphis.
Just packing up the bikes, tackling this gravel road one more time. Caitlin's a little intimidated by this driveway. The gravel rocks here are really big. She's had one drop. What, it just slid out on you and you went down?
Oh yeah, it was like.
Caitlin's reenactment. The bike's just really bounced underneath the large rocks a lot. I mean, even my bike. So I'm gonna ride, I did it, yesterday? So I'm gonna ride our bikes fully loaded to the end of the driveway. And she's gonna take the long walk of shame. Feels like a little easier with the luggage. Feel the big rocks. Yeah, it's actually a really steep hill when you're looking at it like this. Ooh. Motorcycle. There's another motorcycle. Alright, 440 west to Memphis.
We'd make it to Memphis just after sunset and finally started using our tent. And we haven't set up this tent in like 6 months, so trying to remember how to set it up in the night was fun. One of the first orders of business was getting some of the mud off my Scrambler.
So, I came out the grocery store after getting change for 20 so we could wash Chris's bike, and this little sneaker tried to sneak his bike drop. It fell him trying to put it on the center stand.
I'm just wearing Vans, so I slipped on the ground.
I do not accept excuses. It still counts as a drop. Jesus, a lot is still coming out. Guess he's missing a bolt.
But certainly it's a lot better regardless.
You have gold forks again. You have a headlight again.
Well, we're gonna have a wet ass.
Yep, air drying this one. Air drying.
Air dry and jean drying with our butts. Our butts.
Good idea, Caitlin. You're full of them. You're so smart.
Never get the credit for being as smart as I am. But hey, I am pretty smart. I married you, didn't I?
Ah, good one.
Afterwards, we went down to the famous Beale Street and had a beer at Jerry Lee Lewis's bar. We had lunch with my cousin Lynn at Huey's, and then on to the famous Sun Studios.
This is the studio that discovered and recorded the likes of Johnny Cash, Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins, just to name a few. The perfect bookend to our time in Tennessee. Take care and scramble on.
When we left that gas station, I was like, I kind of had to pee. We were riding the whole time. Didn't have to pee at all. It was like, oh, I guess I really don't have to pee. It was just in my head. The second we got off for the Welcome Center, it's like, you gotta pee, you gotta pee.